Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite a treat to open this year's annual convention. Please join me in welcoming a truly extraordinary individual, renowned international inspirational keynote speaker, Elizabeth McCormick, CSP. Elizabeth is a former U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter pilot who served our nation with distinction. As a Chief Warrant Officer, she flew numerous critical missions, ranging from United Nations peacekeeping to air assault, command and control, VIP transport, multi-ship operations, and top-secret military intelligence assignments. Her military service has been recognized with numerous honors, including the Humanitarian Service Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal, and in 2011, the prestigious U.S. Congressional Veteran Commendation for her outstanding community service as a military veteran. Today, Elizabeth brings her powerful and inspiring stories from the cockpit to the stage. Please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker and best-selling author, Elizabeth McCormick.
So, strap into your seats. It is our pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, former U.S. Army Black Hawk pilot, Elizabeth McCormick.
Can you handle the truth? So here's the deal. I'm going to require maximum participation this morning. So let's try that again. Can you handle the truth? Because the truth is, I almost failed flight school. But before I talk about flight school, I need to tell you how I got there. Would that be okay? And along the way, I'm going to share with you lessons I learned that serve me in life and serve me in business and can help you too. Sound good to you? All right, then let's get started. You see, I was an unemployed military wife. I had just graduated from college with a degree in art, a minor in mathematics, and an associate's degree in engineering. Yeah, don't be impressed. I couldn't get a job. But that was because we were stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana. Anyone here been to Fort Polk, Louisiana? Oh, a few over here. Yep, there's a reason that the people who live there call it Fort Puke. Yeah. Oh, I got a job. Yes. Working in a pizza place. 5 years of college. My parents were not proud, and I was miserable. So one night I looked at my starter husband. Anyone else have a starter spouse? Come on. Let me see you. Who else has a starter spouse? Yep, don't laugh too hard because you might still be on yours. Sometimes a starter is a keeper, and then some of us, slow learner. But I looked at him and thought, if he could be in the Army, why can't I? So I decided to join the Army, but I wanted the coolest job possible. Okay, I didn't know what that was. And I went onto the base to ask around. I asked, if you could do anything, what would you do? And if you had to do it over, what would you do differently? And finally I asked, What's the coolest job? Well, after scaffolding and access equipment, come on. Yeah, because you all have the coolest job, right? Well, in the Army, what do you think the coolest job is? Being a pilot. So I said, oh, I'll do that. Okay, I didn't know it was hard. I didn't know the Army had only let women into aviation about 15 years before that, and the Army, in all their cautiousness and prudence, they were only letting women in one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, to see how it worked out. I didn't know that. I just knew that it felt right. So I went out to the flight line to research it some more, and as I pulled my car off to the side of a dirty, dusty road, the hot, humid August, Louisiana. Oh, wait, it was like today, right? You get out of the car in August in the deep South, and what is it like? The heat and humidity. And I walked down a ditch, through knee-high grass, up an embankment, and I got to a chain link fence that protected the helicopters. And I poked my fingers through and gripped hot gray metal as I looked at the helicopters for the very first time. And I went, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. Have you had those moments in your life, your career, where you're at the right place at the right time, doing the right things, helping the right customers? If your boss is in the room, please say yes. But you know what I'm talking about, where everything just feels right. And I had a vision. Have you ever had a vision of the way something could be, even though you have no idea how it's going to happen? Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, I had a vision of myself out on that flight line, flying those helicopters, wearing a flight suit that could still fit today, thanks to Spanx. Okay, maybe. Here's the thing. I didn't have to know how I was going to become a helicopter pilot to believe I was going to become a helicopter pilot. You see, we believe in ourselves, our abilities, our potential, the potential of our customers and clients, the potential of the situations we're in first. We figure out the how along the way. But what happens is if you don't believe in what's possible, opportunities will pass you by. The belief comes first. And I call this being in a potential zone. Because in your comfort zone, you get what you already got. Because you're going where you've already been. Business growth happens, leadership happens when you believe in the possibilities and do things you haven't done before. Unless they're compliance and regulatory, then please don't do those. Okay? Potential zone. I walked inside to talk to those pilots. It did not occur to me. They were all men. They helped me. They told me what the process was, and the next step was going to the recruiting station. Now, do we have any veterans in the house? Any military veterans? Hands high and proud. Let's give a round of applause for our veterans. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Saw one over here. Thank you. And do we have anyone here who has had any member of their family serve in any military worldwide? Hands high and proud, please. Look around this room. Let's give a round of applause for families, because the families serve too. So the 4 veterans and I know a secret the rest of you don't yet know. Because when you go to a recruiting station and you open the door to walk into the recruiting station, the fresh air you let in activates their saliva glands. Right? They get really excited when somebody comes to them, and when I walked in, this is what the recruiter did. Oh. We have openings for a cook today. Who likes to eat? 5 years of college. No. I want to go warrant officer flight training program. You see, I'd done my research. I knew what to say, and I could say it with confidence. But what do you think he said to me? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's on the slide. What do you think he said to me? You can't do that. Now, when you're in your potential zone and you believe something is possible, are you met with resistance? Right? A new idea, a new initiative, new technology. You're met with resistance. So here's a simple 3-step framework to combat resistance when you believe something is possible. Are you ready? I take notes on my phone. I'm cool with that, right? You're going to want these. There's a few of them I'm going to give you throughout the presentation. You might want to write down. So here's the first one. 3-step framework. 1, do your research. Do your research on their industry, their issues, their problems, what they need, right? Everybody needs more safety, right? It's not worth that risk. 2, know their vocabulary. That comes from number 1, right? Doing the research lets you know what their vocabulary is, what they need. Does the military have their own vocabulary? Yes. Does the government have their own vocabulary? Right? You need to know that. Every industry is different. And 3 is simple, just not easy. Whatever you say in those situations, say it with supreme confidence. Not a little. It takes a lot to get buy-in, rapport, right? Say it with confidence. So I looked at him and said, I want to go Warrant Officer Flight Training Program. What do you think he said? You can't do that again. Now what do you do? Elizabeth, I did 1, 2, 3. What do you do when someone still tells you no? Well, there's a bonus 4. The 4th step is to question with curiosity and to ask more questions and to find out what's really going on. So I looked at him and I said, why not? Why not? What is standing in my way? I needed to know. And I will challenge you as industry leaders. I will challenge you when you're in sales and rapport building situations to be more curious, to ask more questions, and to find out what's really going on. Because it might not be what you think it is. And so I asked the recruiter, why not? What's standing in my way? I needed to know. And he said, well, you need perfect eyesight. I have that. Why not? Well, you need perfect physical condition. I used to have that. I was a lot younger then. Why not? Well, you need a college degree. Say it with me. I almost have 3. Why not? And he says, well, you need leadership. I have that too. Why not? Well, because, you could say it with me. It's fun. And I asked him, what did I ask him up on the screen? And he said, what do you think he said? I heard somebody say it. How many think it was gender bias? Okay, gentlemen, you will not get in trouble for raising your hand on this one. Okay, let me see you. How many think it's gender bias, right? Yeah. Here's what he said. I don't know how to do that paperwork. So I want you to think about this. He didn't know how to do his own job. What would have happened if I had walked into the recruiting station and I had believed him instead of me? Would I have become a helicopter pilot? Would I now be hugely humbled, honored, and thrilled in February when I was named one of the top 30 motivational speakers in the world, number 13? Yeah, that wouldn't have happened. And would I be here today? I mean, I grew up around construction sites. My dad was in construction. So maybe my entire future changed because I was willing to believe in myself, my abilities, my potential zone more than someone else's lack of belief. Your beliefs are a choice. You get to choose what you believe. And here's the news flash. You don't have to believe what other people believe. You get to choose. So let me tell you what I did. I sat in the recruiter's office, I read the regulations, and I did his paperwork for him. It was not a union shop, just saying, right? I did his job because when it really, really comes down to it, I mean, it is you and you in the mirror in the morning, is that your future is your responsibility. Your future is up to you. You are in the pilot seat of your job, your life, and your future every single day. And there's no autopilot in that, is there? Okay, that's not a trick question, right? Remember that maximum participation earlier, right? Is there autopilot in your job or business? Is there autopilot in your life? Is there autopilot in your future? You are the pilot in command of you every single day. No autopilot, just like a Black Hawk. I went inside to talk to the pilots. I talked to the flight doctor to take my flight physical, and he looked at me and he said, "Little girl, don't you know flight school is really hard? What makes you think you can do this? You are wasting my time." Wow. Sir, I have an appointment. So let's just take the physical. And we did. And the next step, I had to take what they call the flight aptitude skills test. They call it the FAST test. It's really slow. And the examiner issuing the test, he looks at me and he says, "Young lady, don't you know this test is really..." What makes you think, we're going to go with this on this one, okay? This. What makes you think you can do? Okay, this. Let's try that again. All right. What makes you think you can do? You are wasting my... Y'all have heard this before. And I could look at him with confidence and say, "Sergeant, I have an appointment. Let's just take the test." And we did. Every step of the way, though, someone else didn't believe. And if you believe something is hard, it's going to be. And if you believe something is easy, it's going to be not as hard. I heard somebody over here say it. Not as hard. Because what we believe, does it show up? Does it show up in our attitude? Does it show up in our actions? Does it show up in our results? What if we could better control our beliefs? Would you like a couple strategies around that? Yes? Excellent. So I'm going to put you in a partner activity that I needed someone to demonstrate. Sir, would you help me with this and demonstrate that? Yeah, come on. Come on. Now, I believe in ethical bribery. Does anyone else like ethical bribery? I'm the only one. So what was your name, sir? Come on up. Doug. So Doug, you're going to get a signed copy of my book that I'm going to have out in the cafe for volunteering. So look at, he's excited. That's good. I did not pay him. So, all right. So, yeah. Doug, ethical, come on. So Doug, we are going to do some muscle testing. Did you work out this morning? Did you work out this morning?
No.
This counts, all right? So everyone can say you did your workout when we get this done. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, we're going to demonstrate. The first thing you're going to do when you partner up is determine who goes first. You're going to go with the person with the shorter hair is going to go first.
That would be me.
Yes, that's you, Doug. All right. Which arm do you want to test, your right or left? Which one's feeling stronger today?
Right.
Your right arm. Okay, so I'm going to have you pivot just a little bit so everyone can see that right arm, and bring your right arm out shoulder height, thumb down, and we're going to do a baseline. So this is the testing position, arm, shoulder height, thumb down. So I'm gonna push down. Doug, you're gonna resist and push up, and I'm gonna note how much force to use. I'm gonna use the same amount every time. You ready? Now it's really important that you have a good baseline because you don't wanna hurt the other person, because I could.
Good.
All right, is that good? Comfortable?
Yeah.
All right, so you can put it down for a second. We're gonna use some language now to prove the power that our language has on us. And we're gonna use my favorite quote. Henry Ford said, if you believe you can, you can. And if you believe you can't, you're right. So we're gonna use that language to see what kind of response our body has. So Doug, we're gonna start negative. We always end positive. You wanna end in a positive state. So Doug, I want you to say 3 times really loud so everyone can hear you. I can't, I can't, I can't.
I can't, I can't, I can't.
Arm up, let's check it. Resist. You see it shake? He's really trying hard. Okay, well, we never want to leave in a negative state, so I can, I can, I can.
I can, I can, I can.
Let's bring it up and check it. Resist. There's a little bit of a difference there, isn't there? Yeah. All right, Doug, you come see me in the cafe when we're done, after the break, because there's another speaker after me, so during the lunch break, and you'll get the signed copy of your book. Give Doug a round of applause. I'm going to walk you through the activity. Now, you're going to partner up with someone you're not sitting next to and don't know yet. Okay, so I want you to mix up the room a little bit, spread out. Who's testing first? The person with the shortest hair, arm up, thumb down, baseline first. I can't, I can't, I can't test. I can, I can, I can test. Switch so you both get to go. Very important that you are the tester and the testee. When you're both done, have a seat because I'm going to teach you how to fly a helicopter next. Ready? Go. All right, when you're both done, have a seat. I had somebody ask if that was really me in that picture on the screen. You see that? That's called stabilizing body operation. It's an extraction method where when you can't land to pick someone up that's in distress, so we would drop a rope with harnesses down into a wooded area, and we would very carefully and gently extract them out. A little bit of access there, right? So, yeah, that is me. We had to actually, as pilots, we had to be what the Army, this is an Army phrase, what the Army called the dope on the rope. So we had to be the dope on the rope before they would let us fly the mission because we had to understand how important it was to be precise and to be careful when we're flying with people underneath the aircraft. So how was that? Did it work? It's kind of creepy, right? So here's what happens. Your brain is more powerful than your body. So when we say, I can't, you can't, or we can't, even when you can, your brain will sabotage you subconsciously to make it true. So do we need to be more careful about the words we choose? Because how many times do we say, I can't, you can't, or we can't, internally or externally, when we really could? Probably too often, right? Yeah. So I want you to be more aware of your language. This is the first of 3 strategies I have to help boost your confidence and your belief, because when we show up more competent, it shows up in our competence. And when we drive our competence higher, that's a mission of excellence. Would you like the other strategies? Yeah. Would you like to take them back to your team so that you can do them back in your workplace? Would that be helpful? Yeah? Great. I don't have time to teach them. So you're going to get them as a free online course. If you went to my website, this would be a $99 online course. I have overridden the pricing only with this code and this QR code and this link to free. So you're getting anyone else like free? You're getting a $99 course for free. So this is the confidence boosting module. I just did part 1 of the first strategy. There's actually 2 other parts, ways to do it. You can also do it with nonverbal language, as well as anyone have teenagers or kids? Yep, there's a lie detector test in there too for that. It's not HR approved. Don't do that at work. Okay, so you can do these videos. They're videos from me. You can do these videos back at your workplace or with your families to help them be more confident. Because our schools aren't teaching that, are they? Our children, our youth, they're not getting the coping skills that they need to be able to handle themselves with any emotional intelligence. So it's really important that as employers, that you equip them and that you give them those skills so that they can show up at work better and in their life better. Because sometimes work might be the only positive thing they have. Pretty cool? I had to find these kind of strategies. Well, because when I got to flight school, first I had to go through basic training. Then I had to go through warrant officer candidate school. Back then, warrant officer candidate school was one of the toughest schools they were letting women into. There was no male or female standard. It was a warrant officer standard. Do you think they were lowering standards for those girls they were letting in? I had to meet all the same physical standards, just like the men. I had to run 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles in boots, in gear. Not these boots, by the way. These are my cowboy boots for y'all. But in boots, in gear, at their pace, not mine. I had to do push-ups up on my toes. There were no knees. The same as the men. At the end of that 6-week training course, I could do 83 push-ups in 2 minutes. Yeah, I used to be really buff. It was what I had to do. And then it was the day we were going to get to fly a helicopter. Are you excited to learn how to fly a helicopter? I'm about to teach you. Are you excited? All right, you're going to need both hands and both feet if you're able. Okay? And if you're sitting on one of the sides of the table, I want everyone we're going to face the front of the room. So not face the stage, but face the front of the room. So you're all facing the same direction because we're going to all fly together. Are you ready? With your right hand, you're on what's called the cyclic. The cyclic is a stick. It goes down into the floorboard, up into the rotor system, and it controls the pitch of the rotor blades. So right now, I want you to take your right hand, stick it straight out in front of you like this. This is where your cyclic would be. From this moment on, you are on the controls. There's no autopilot. Don't let go. In fact, it is so important that someone be on the controls that it's like this in the helicopter. You have the controls. I'm still holding them. The other pilot would put their hand on the controls, on the cyclic, and they would say, I have the controls. And then before I let go, I'm going to visually verify they're on the controls and say, you have the controls before I let go. It is a 3-way physical transfer of controls and verbal confirmation. When things are vitally important, could you do a better job of transferring control and communicating? I want you to remember that because you're the pilot in command of you. And how you communicate is on you. You get to decide. All right, so some of you just crashed the helicopter. You just let go. Come on, you're on the controls until I take them back. Ready? If you're able. This is your direction on the cyclic. So if you want to go forward, you're going to push it and lean forward. Push and lean forward. Yep. I can see you. This is not like Zoom. Ready? All right, forward. If you wanted to go to this way, we're all going to go this way and push towards this way. Everybody push and lean this way. Yep, you're flying. This way. This way. There you go. You're flying. Now, as a room, if we all wanted to go the same direction, we wanted to go the other way, where would we go? Yep. You're flying. And if you wanted to go back, where do you think you would go if you wanted to go backwards? Whoa, 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 you have a tail back there. Some of you pull it too far back and hit your tail. That's bad. Don't hit that. All at the same time. But wait, there's Because while you're doing all of that, you also have a center console. Well, you have the left arm on the collective. Let's do your collective first. The collective, I want you to imagine your elbow is pinned to the floorboard. All you can move is the front part of your hand. It's a lever off the floorboard. So the higher you pull it, the more fuel goes into your engine. The higher you pull it, the more airspeed you get. The higher you pull it, the more altitude you get. If you pull it really high, you get both altitude and airspeed at the same time. So let's pull some power. Yeah, we like that, right? But here's what happens. I am flying straight like this. And as I pull power, it also puts power in the tail rotor in the back. So even though I'm flying straight, as I pull power, the tail kicks off to the side and goes like this. And so I'm flying straight with my tail off to the side. Is this aerodynamic? No. So with your feet independently of each other, if you're able, you're going to push on the foot pedals. The foot pedals control the pitch of the tail rotor blade and get your tail behind you where it belongs, all at the same time. But wait, because while you're still doing all that, everyone's still flying, I can see you, ready? While you're still doing all that, you have that center console of avionic and navigation equipment to tell you who to talk to and where to go. And while you're monitoring that equipment, you also have 4 feet of instrument panel that you're scanning to make sure you stay in system limits. Because even though we're in the air, there are speed limits. Did you know that? Did you know there's speed limits in the air? Yeah, there's just no signs. You have to have every single limit on every single gauge memorized. And while you're monitoring that, you also have windows. You have a front windshield. You have a door window to one side or the other. You have what's called a chin bubble window down here at your feet. In fact, right now, I want you to look down at your toes through the table if need be. Because when you lose your engine, that's where you're gonna go. There's no glide in a helicopter. You're going straight down. So it's really important that you don't hit a tree, a power line, or another aircraft. Those are bad. Don't hit those. All at the same time. But wait, because while you're still doing all of this, you have a helmet on, and with the helmet, you have a microphone, and with your microphone, you're talking internally to your crew and externally to air traffic control. All at the same time. Some of you look tired. I told you there'd be a workout today, right? I have the controls. What are you going to say back to me? I have the controls. You can let go. Give yourself a round of applause for flying a helicopter. And flying a helicopter, well, maybe it is like something else. Do we have any roller coaster fans in the house? Who are my roller coaster fans? Let me see you. Yep, one back here, some over here, yeah? All right, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, because I don't know any self-respecting roller coaster fan who would use one arm. You know it's true, roller coaster fans. Let me see you. Yeah, okay, now keep them up if you're able, keep them up. Now, if you used to like roller coasters before they started hurting, bring your arms up. And if you cannot stand them, you could not pay me enough to ride one, bring your arms up too. We're all going to ride the same ride. You ready? All right, we're going up the hill. What's the sound it makes when it goes up the hill? And you get to the top. What happens at the top? Before the scream. There's a pause, right? There's a pause. Come on, we're going. There's a pause. I want you to imagine you're at the top of the hill. You're in the front car. You can see everything coming. You can see everything. And you're in that pause. And you realize in that moment, there's no track. You get to decide where it goes. Are you ready? We're all going to ride the same ride. Are you ready? We're going to go high. We're going to go low. We're going to go high. And we're going to go slow. You're going to go to your right. You're going to go to your left. We're going to go low. And which way it should go, you get to decide. That is what flying a helicopter is like. In flying a helicopter, the first maneuver you must learn is how to hover. Hovering is when you're 8 to 10 feet off the ground. The wind, it whips off the rotor system. It comes down, it hits the ground, it bounces off the ground, and it buffets the helicopter, and it makes it aerodynamically unstable. I mean, it is so aerodynamically unstable. It's like the bumblebee that shouldn't fly, doesn't know any better, and flies off anyway. Hovering is first, hovering is last. Most maneuvers are built on hovering, and hovering requires a very soft touch on the controls. A soft touch is best. But what happens to that soft touch when you've drawn the flight instructor who is screaming at you? You're stupid. You don't deserve to be here. You are wasting my... What makes you think you can do? And my least favorite of all, he would say to me, an orangutan could fly better than you. Every day, and that soft touch I needed to hover. Do you think it stayed soft? And I'd go too far to the right and back too far to the left and back too far to the right and back too far to the left and started looking like this in the helicopter. What does this look like? A swing on a clock, it might be a pendulum. The Army calls that the pendulum maneuver. Yeah, that's prohibited. Don't do that one. And he would take the controls away from me and he would yell at me again. Well, the first week it wasn't so bad. The guys couldn't hover either. It really was hard. Second week, no problem, because I am not the only one struggling. Until the third week, I'm the only one struggling. Fourth week, halfway point of this course, I have to pass to move on, and I'm failing. Fifth week, I go to the commander's office. Sir, I'd like an instructor change. Denied. But sir, could we? Denied. But sir, what if we? Denied. But sir, couldn't we? Go back to class. Yes, sir. And as I got to the door, I turned back to the commander. I said, sir, with all due respect, I will not quit. You cannot make me quit. I'm going to show up and I'm going to bring the best I have in the moments I'm in, because when, not if, when things get hard. And it's a when, isn't it? We all have days things don't go our way. We all have days where our physical health, our personal life, our emotional well-being, or maybe just our work doesn't go the way we think it should go. And what matters most in life and business is how are you showing up on those days? How are you showing up when others would quit? How are you showing up when it's hard? Because as a leader, they're watching you. They want your example. And how you show up, it matters. They remember that. That can define you. It can define your company. It can define you as a leader. It can define your team. And you get to decide how you show up every single day. No autopilot. It's up to you. I showed up the rest of the fifth week and I failed. I showed up the sixth week, failed. I show up the seventh week. Y'all, this is only an 8-week course. I showed up Monday morning of the seventh week, and I walk in thinking, I'm gonna fail. And as I walked in that Monday morning, and I looked up, he wasn't there. Yes. Say it with me. I'm thinking I got a shot, I got a chance. And he is looking at all my grade sheets. Not a good first impression, right? And he looks at the paperwork, and he looks at me, and he looks at the paperwork, he looks at me, and he says, what's the deal? Now, what could I possibly say that wouldn't sound like I was making an excuse? What could I possibly say that would not sound like I was blaming someone else? What could I possibly say? And I have to tell you, I had nothing Have you ever had nothing? You ever blanked, froze, not knowing what to say? And then it came to me. Oh, what to say in a difficult situation. If you're taking notes, this is one you're going to want. Okay? What to say in a difficult situation. And he had asked me, what's the deal? And here is what you're going to want to write down, what I said. I'm trying really hard. And then he yells at me. And he tells me an orangutan can fly better than me. And I want to see the orangutan fly. Yeah. Did I mention crying in uniform in the military is really bad? It's really bad. And he did what I would categorize, this is my own personal opinion, what I would categorize as a fairly typical male response to a female crying. It looked like this. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. And I had to stop. And I had to dry it off. And then he looks at me and he says 4 words I'll never forget in my entire life. And they're the 4 words I want you to remember. And if you need to, write them down. The 4 words he said to me are, do you want this? You see, when things get hard or you're feeling stuck, I want you to ask yourself, do I want this? And stay connected and committed to that feeling, that passion, that fire that sometimes just gets tired. You see, you have to be the one to fuel your own fire. And if you need to borrow some jet fuel, you can borrow some of mine. Do I want this? Yeah. He says, great. Let's teach you. And he did. Have you ever been so close to something where you make one little shift, one little tweak, one little change, and everything falls into place? Has that ever happened to you? He taught me how to hover in one day. One day. Would you like to learn how to hover today? Say yes. Raise your right hand up if you're able. Now raise it up higher. The person next to you won't know your deodorant has worn off. All right, we're going to stretch it just a little bit higher so the photographer can get a picture. Okay, we're good. All right, arm up. We're going to bring your elbow down. Brace your elbow against your rib cage. Pivot your hand forward with your elbow braced against your rib cage. How smooth and stable is your wrist? Lift it up and try it without the brace. Brace it again and feel the stability. One little thing bracing my elbow, and I hovered that day. And this new substitute instructor, he taught me more in this 1 week than my original instructor had taught me at all. And the next Monday morning when my original instructor came back for my final exam check ride, he couldn't fail me. I knew just enough to pass, but it was ugly. Have you ever had the ugly pass? Do not raise your hand if your boss is in the room. Just wink at me. I got you. Right? The ugly pass. Because practice makes? Really? Because I had lots of practice doing it wrong. We're going to shift our paradigm on this right here, right now, if we can get this on the screen. Because practice makes permanent. How you practice determines how you perform. How you practice determines how you show up. How you live in your life, how you work in your job or business. Everything you do today builds your tomorrow. Because practice makes, it's a shift of thinking. So I want you to be more deliberate, be more focused, and be more intentional on the things that you do. Because everything you do has an impact and influence on something or someone else. Last time, practice makes shift of thinking. So I finished flight school and I got to my first duty assignment, Fort Drum, New York. Anyone been to Fort Drum, New York? Oh, yeah. Snows every month but July. Yeah, I knew I was in trouble when they issued me my military housing and it came with a snowblower. And I was there during the 1998 Great North American Ice Storm. Anyone remember that ice storm? 115 hours of freezing rain fell on upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and a big section of Canada. 115 hours. I have to tell you, I live here in DFW now. We get a half an hour of freezing rain and our world shuts down, right? 115 hours. The ice accumulated 4 inches thick on the trees, houses, cars, roads. The roads were impassable. The ice accumulated 4 inches thick on the power lines. Over 5 million people were without power, and some were without power for 3 months. FEMA was activated, but because of the condition of the roads, couldn't get through. We knew the storm was coming because the weather pattern looked like this. It was one of those storms that happens once in 100 years. We had hangared our helicopters, and when they built the base at Fort Drum, you will feel so much more confident and better. When they built the base at Fort Drum, they had buried all the power lines, and they had their own self-sufficient electrical grid. You know, just in case something happens with the Canadians. Where are my Canadians? I met some yesterday. Yeah, no, it's a fun speech in Canada. Y'all love this part, right? But the storm impacted them as well. But we were fully operational during this storm, and we got the call from the governor of New York. The governor needed 2 Blackhawks, FEMA, two Blackhawks to fly the governor, FEMA, congressmen, state congressmen and women, journalists. And do we wonder why it takes so long for help to get where it was needed? It was eye-opening to be on that side of the mission. And it's going to be a tricky mission because it's cloudy, and clouds are made of water, moisture, and it's below freezing, and that makes ice. We're going to be flying a Black Hawk helicopter, instrument mode, in the clouds in icing. Would anyone like to go? It's a real mission. We have to go. We get an updated weather briefing. We are only going to be in the clouds and the icing the first 45 minutes of a 90-minute flight. The second half of the flight, we're visual. We're not in the clouds. We're not in the clouds. We're not in icing. It's a safer flight mode. Anyone feeling better and want to go? It's a real mission. We have to go. We get ready, and I'm going to be in the right seat. Derek is our pilot in command, same rank as me, but we're both Chief Warrant Officer 2s, but he's in the left seat as the pilot in command. Behind us are 2 crew chiefs to maintain the aircraft during the mission, and behind the 2 crew chiefs, it looks like this up on the screen. The seats go all the way across. There's no aisles like an airplane. The seats actually support each other back to back. And in that far right side, in that back row, is sitting a colonel from our brigade. Now, we're down here at the platoon, then there's a company, then there's a battalion, then there's brigade. He is 4 levels up our chain of command. We don't know him, but he's our liaison to the governor. Very important question. Who do you think's in charge? How many of you think the colonel's in charge? How many of you think that the pilot's in charge? Okay, it's a trick question. When we're in the air, who's in charge? Let's get really clear. It's not me. It's the pilot in command, Derek. And when we're on the ground, who's in charge? The colonel, who's in the back. It was a trick question. You were all right. Derek decides I'm going to fly the helicopter, so I'm on the controls. We get our clearance. I come up to a hover. Okay, really good at hovering now. We come up to a hover, everything looks good. We have our fuel for the mission. We get our clearance. I pull more power. The tail kicks out, the feet bring it back, and then poof, we punch into the clouds. It's like being on the inside of a cotton ball. You can't see anything but white, except I see something. There is ice building all around the windshield. And if the ice is getting thicker, and thicker here, where else is it getting thicker? Everywhere. We're in the middle of the cloud. The pucker factor was high. But not to worry, the Black Hawk has a sophisticated anti-icing and de-icing system. It's so sophisticated I can't describe the system. Here's what you need to know. In order for the anti-icing to work, which prevents ice from building on the helicopter, and the de-icing to work, which sheds ice off the helicopter when it does form, I need 2 out of 2 engines of full operational power. Very important. How many engines do I need? 2. We're good, though. Everything's good. We start flying along. The ice is forming. Everything's working. We're in good shape. 5 minutes in, we're good. 10 minutes in, all good. 12 minutes in, something changes. Master caution alarm. Oh, shh. You can guess what we said. I don't swear up here. Right? Is this a good thing? We're in the clouds and the icing on a real mission with a colonel on board and the master caution alarm's going off. Is this a good thing? No, this is bad. I'm on the controls flying. Now, when something goes wrong with your vehicle, do you feel something? Do you get a shimmy, a shake, a vibration, some kind of indication that tells you something is going wrong, right? Or maybe you hear something, a thud, a thump, some kind of sound that tells you something's wrong. And it's the same thing in a helicopter. And everything was responding normally except for this master caution alarm. So I turn and look at Derek, my pilot in command. We have to troubleshoot it and figure out what's wrong. And as I turn and look at Derek, he's 6'2", 220, big guy. This is what I see in the left seat. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, You ever have a moment where you think somebody else isn't going to help much? In his defense, I found out later this was his first emergency procedure as a pilot in command. It was a training issue. It was an experience issue. Was that going to help any in this situation? No, I'm on the controls flying. We have to troubleshoot it. I find it one gauge in the middle. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. RPM's on engine number 2. We're in the clouds and the icing. How many engines do I need? One's going up and down, up and down. How many do I have? Is this good? This is bad. I'm on the controls flying. Derek, we have a master caution alarm, fluctuating RPM on engine number 2. What do you think Derek's response was? You can do it with me. It's fun. Come on. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Fluctuating RPM at engine number 2. And he flips through the checklist strapped to his leg, which only has the highest emergency procedure. And he says, we need to take the engine offline. Now, it was at that moment that I realized engine number 2 is over my head. Our helicopter's loud. The engine over my head was steady. I instantly knew that the raw data from the engine went into the computer. The computer put it into a gauge. We had a computer chip malfunction. We were okay. So I argued with Derek. Derek, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should leave it alone. Do you think he heard me? What was he doing? Do it with me. It's fun. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Fluctuating RPM engine number 2. And he reaches up to grab the throttle to take the engine off. He pulls that throttle back. We lose our anti-icing, de-icing capabilities. Ice forms on the lift surfaces of a $21 million helicopter with a crew of 4 and a colonel on board. So I taught you how to fly earlier. So you're qualified, just not licensed. What would you do if you were in my seat? What would you do? Okay, some of you are violent. I heard somebody say I'd smack him, right? I spoke for an HR conference and somebody shouted out, I'd shoot him. Like, that's HR, right? Let me ask you this, who's flying the helicopter? I just put you in the seat. Say, I am. If you take your hands off the controls to hit him, who's flying? Is this a good thing? Just created new sets of problems. But how many times do we do that in business? Where we worry about what somebody else is doing that has nothing to do with what we do and not focus on the things we can control. So, I can't hit him. Here's what I did. Don't touch that throttle. If you want to wait until we're out of the icing, out of the clouds, be my guest. I can fly this helicopter on one engine, but not while we're in the clouds, not while we're in this icing. You will not pull this throttle back while I am flying the helicopter. Look it up in the book. Well, the operator's manual is 4 inches thick. It's in a big, heavy metal binder. It's really hard to get to. He gets it out anyway. And he sets it on his lap, and he starts flipping through to find the emergency procedure I already knew. And I just keep flying because that's my job, maintain aircraft control. And then we get to final approach to Albany, New York. And out of the corner of my eye, the book quietly gets put away. And Derek clicks the radios. Crew chief, please write up this aircraft for a signal data converter computer chip malfunction. My response? What a good idea. We land, we write it up, we get the part in, and the colonel who is in the back comes up to me. Chief Mac, we're gonna go here, here, here. I take down the notes. Yes, sir, consider it done, sir. Derek, pilot in command to plan the mission. The next mission, the same thing. The colonel comes up to me. Chief Mac, you're gonna go here, here, here. Yes, sir, consider it done, sir. Do you question the colonel? Whatever you say, sir, we'll get it done, sir. Derek, plan the mission. All week long, the colonel comes up to me and then he says, Chief Mac, in my office. I walk in, yes, sir. He says, Chief, I know you don't know me. Yes, sir. He says, but I used to fly Black Hawks before I flew a desk. So the officers got so high up, they didn't get to fly anymore. They called it flying a desk. I said, oh, that's cool, sir. I didn't know that. He said, yeah. And during the flight down, during the emergency procedure, I had a headset on and I heard everything. Do you ever have a moment where you think, what did we say? And it starts playing in slow motion and I'm thinking, oh, you were, sir, you didn't say anything. He said, yeah. And if you hadn't stopped Derek when you did, I was about to unharness from my seat, knock down 2 rows of seats, crawl over the center console, and stop him myself. It's a good thing you stopped him first. You did a good job. And the only thought I had in that moment was, oh, thank goodness I am not getting court-martialed. So the very last lesson I leave you all with is that we all have an ability, a responsibility, and a capability to lead from where we are and to lead yourself first, because we're the hardest ones to lead. Did I teach you how to fly today? Well, what fly really means is to first lead yourself. Because when you lead yourself, others will want to follow. When you lead yourself, others will see who you are, how you show up, and want to be a part of what you do. And to lead an industry, it requires you to lead yourself first. And when you fly, you will soar. It was an honor and pleasure to be with you and to have served most of our country. Thank you. That was for you, Canadians. Thank you.